Microsoft closed at a new 52-week high today, $33.75, and shares are up 25% so far this year. Also today, Microsoft founder Bill Gates took a swipe at rival Apple, touting his company's Windows 8 software, saying it works with tablets like the iPad and the PC, which is still a big driver for revenue.
And Windows 8 really is revolutionary in that it takes the benefits of a tablet and benefits of a PC, and it's able to support both of those. So, if you have Surface, Surface Pro, you've got that portability of the tablet, but the richness in terms of the keyboard, Microsoft Office of a PC. So as you say, PCs are a big market. It's going to be harder and harder to distinguish products, whether they're tablets or PCs. With Windows 8, Microsoft is trying to gain share in what has been dominated by the iPad-type device.
And now, for more on the Microsoft and the health of the technology sector, let's welcome Daniel Ives. He's a senior analyst at FBR Capital Markets. Mr. Ives, welcome. Good to have you with us. You heard Mr. Gates just say Windows 8 is revolutionary. Is it revolutionary? And if it is, why isn't it selling better?
Yeah, I think that's, that might be getting a little ahead of itself. I mean, it's obviously, it's definitely a very strong potential product. It's obviously a big product cycle from Microsoft. But again, at this point, it's been pretty underwhelming out of the gates. And I'd say it's kind of come out more like a snail rather than a rocket ship in terms of, expectations since the launch in October.
But Microsoft's business is really business, isn't it, Mr. Ives? It's not so much the consumer as it is dependent on enterprises buying its software or buying new products for computers.
Yeah, and that's fundamentally it. I mean, remember, about 90% of profits comes from core Windows Office. Enterprise is the core competency from Microsoft. And again, there's definitely slower adoption out of the gates for Windows 8 in terms of these upgrade cycles. So even though Microsoft stock's done well, a lot of that is optimism in terms of how this is going to perform. And at least so far, from what we've seen, it's definitely been slow out of the gates, and I think that's been disappointing to some of the bulls in Microsoft.
And yet, as you point out, the stock is up by 25% or so far this year. Do you like the stock at these prices? Would you buy it? Are you buying it?
Well, okay, so I think there's a few things. I mean, there's definitely more sense that hoping that there's some activism in the name, and I think that's helped drive shares in terms of something strategically that could happen. And again, to that point, in the near term, I wouldn't hold my breath. I don't think anything's really going to happen in the near term. Personally, look, Microsoft, I think the run up here, look, we have a $30 price target. I think it's got a little ahead of itself. Now, they've talked the talk. They need to walk the walk in terms of Windows 8 sales. And at least from all of our survey work and all of the anecdotal data, so far it definitely, they're hitting a single when most people expected a home run for Windows 8.
Let's talk a little bit about the broader PC market, or the market for desktops and laptops that run the Windows operating system, and extend out to that Microsoft ecosystem, which includes, or traditionally has included, such companies as Intel and Dell and Hewlett-Packard. What do you make of the overall demand for computers as opposed to tablets?
It's pretty dark days, for PCs, right? I mean, it's the first time in a decade last year PCs declined, and we're modeling a high single-digit decline this year. Part of it is there's a huge cannibalization effect on tablets, and again, the best days for PC in the rearview mirror. And again, this gets into the whole sort of old tech versus new tech. And when you talk about the companies that are attached to PCs, that's kind of been the anchor on the ship in terms of where spending is, just given the cannibalization as just well as a negative PC environment. Windows 8 was supposed to be the catalyst to stop that. So far, it hasn't.
We've heard this story before, haven't we, Mr. Ives, when Microsoft comes out with a new operating system. It was Windows 7 not long ago, and before that, other iterations of Windows. Do they bank on Windows for too much? And we've always been hearing about how the Windows Phone was going to be a big transformational product. But apart from Nokia, which is a distant player in the U.S. market, it hasn't been a big hit either, has it?
there's always been the optimism, but fundamentally, if you look back, they've been pretty disappointing product cycles. I mean, part of it has to do with some of the functionality, part of it's the enterprise adoption, and it's they put a lot of cards into Windows 8. Windows 8 was supposed to be the end-all be-all, and at least so far from what we've seen on the enterprise as well as on Surface, it's been very slow, and I think to see a stock move meaningfully higher, you need to see sales accelerate, and that's really what investors are going to be focused on over the coming quarters.
All right, Dan Ives, thank you very much. Dan is with FBR Capital Markets.
Great to be here.